You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast brought to you by NBA 2K24. It's myself, Mamunzi, and back with me today, as always, the one and only three-time NBA champion, Mr. BJ Armstrong. What's good, my brother?
Oh, what's good? It's good to be back. Good to be back. Went to the game. Got it. Well, it's good to go to the games. It's good to be there live, catch up with some old friends. Saw the coaches, saw the players, the fans, and crypto was rocking today. It was
The
rocking, so
Crips.
it
The
was
Crip. We'll,
good.
we'll
Yeah.
get to that. We'll get to that. Let's start with the first game of the day. My Celtics, one
Oh
down,
wow.
15 to go.
Yes.
They got up
Yes.
34, was it a 34-point lead at one point? They won by 20 against the Miami Heat. Just a
Mm-hmm.
three-point
Mm-hmm.
shooting clinic, 22 threes got knocked down. They shot 45% from behind the arc. Sam Hauser off the bench, 4 of 6 from three, which really allowed the Celtics to get out. Jason Tatum, a little bit inefficient, 1 from 8 from downtown, 7 of 18 overall, but he did finish with a 23-point triple-double, 10 assists, 10 rebounds to go along with that. And an all-round great performance. The Celtics went to an 8-man rotation, Peyton Pritchard, Al Horford, and Sam Hauser coming off the bench. And they handled business for Miami Heatless, Jimmy Butlerless Miami Heat. Tyler Hero, 4 of 13, 3 of 9 from downtown. An inefficient night for him, finishing with only 11 points. These are the kind of games where you want to see a player like Tyler Hero really step up because Bam did his thing, 24 points. Um, but Tyler Hero, if he's a player that you guys all summer long were saying, yeah, we're going to trade him for Dame Lillard, and then you saw what Dame Lillard did later today, we'll talk about that as well. These are the kind of games where he's got to step up. He didn't do that, and the Celtics coasted to an easy game 1 win. BJ, what were your thoughts on this one?
Well, it was a very dominant performance by your Boston Celtics. So I don't think it's really much to take from this. They're outmanned. They're down. It's going to be very hard to win a series. Very hard to win a game without Jimmy Butler, which they managed to do versus the Chicago Bulls. However, it's going to be very tough. So a nice win. Joe Mazzulla has had a very nice year on the sideline. He's had a very nice year.
Didn't
And
finish in
this
the
was
top three. He's not a top two finalist for the awards, which we'll talk about if we get time.
Yeah. He's had a very nice year. Regardless, I think he will be evaluated, by them winning the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's just the expectations there in Boston. They're about banners up there. So I respect that. I respect what they've done. Very nice game. They were prepared. They look sharp. Very convincing win. So I think it's time to just keep doing your business game in and game out.
What were your thoughts on the incident with Caleb Martin undercutting Jason Tatum while he was going up for a rebound?
I don't want to believe that anyone will go out there intentionally trying to hurt someone.
No, you must be new
And
to the Miami Heat.
yeah, I'm new. I'm just gonna stay with that. I'm all about physical play. I've played in an era. I played in an era where it was a very
Well,
physical game.
let,
So,
let, let me
but
ask you
but
this. Brian Scalabrine said on the broadcast after the game on a Celtics broadcast, Brian Scalabrine said that Eric Spoelstra calling that timeout down 20 plus points with just a couple minutes left in the game, and then 31 seconds later, Caleb Martin goes and does that. He seemed to insinuate that Eric Spoelstra made the call and said, go get one of them. Do you think, or actually, a better way of phrasing this is, what do you think is the reason that Eric Spoelstra called that timeout down by such a big margin, no hope of winning the game? Just there's a minute and a bit left on the clock. Let the game run out. What did Eric Spoelstra say to his team in that timeout? Was that a tactical timeout? What do you think he was saying to those guys?
well, I can only go from experience. And when you're playing in a series, okay, you have to the mentality when you enter into a series. If you have a championship caliber mentality like the Miami Heat have, prepare to play 7 games. There is no such thing as over. There's no such thing as starting. You're going to prepare to play 7 games. Okay. I can vividly remember not finishing a game like early in the season, like November of my rookie year, where we just kind of let the clock run out. And Coach Jackson calls a timeout to say, listen, never, ever accept a defeat. Ever. you can lose a game, but never ever accept a defeat. You don't let the clock just run out. You play it all the way through because you have an 82 game schedule. And I remember that, and I remember thinking, okay, and especially when you play in a series, you maintain and you just keep going. It's kind of like there's 4 quarters and then there's 4 more quarters, and you play through it. So I get it. I get where you're coming from. I see that. I understand it. But when you have a championship caliber mentality, you play it all the way through. And you never ever give the other team a competitive edge. Now, I get why people will say that, and I understand it. But I don't want to believe that Eric Spoelstra, especially he's going to be coaching Jason Tatum. They're going to need Jason Tatum this summer. Why would he do that? And I know Coach Spo. I don't believe they would do something like that, and I don't want to believe they would do something like that. Things happen, but I don't want to believe that you would go out there and try to hurt someone. I mean, these guys are competitive, yes, but I don't think that would happen.
Okay, well, the next game was the game you were in the arena for. It was the Dallas Mavericks and the LA Clippers.
Yes,
and
yes.
a very disappointing game. No Kawhi Leonard for the Clippers, and this was a real chance for the Dallas Mavericks to steal game one on the road. And they did not do that. They ended up getting absolutely, completely, utterly destroyed by the Clippers, who led for the entirety of the game, at one point having a 29-point lead. The final score, though, 109-97. BJ, I want you to talk me through this game from your perspective inside the arena. What did you see?
Well, the first thing, Mo, I want to say, a couple years ago, or in this generation, there's this narrative that, home court doesn't matter. Well, let me tell you something. Home court does matter. And every team thus far has won. The home court has won. The home team has won, I should say. So in home court matters. What did I see? It was very simple. The LA Clippers made shots today. It was just very simple. They made shots. James Harden, spectacular in the offensive end. He was
points.
Yeah, I mean, he was really he was really good. Paul George
had 22 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists.
He had it going. And they established, and this is why I like Coach Lue. Coach Lue established in the low post with Zubac.
20 points, 15 rebounds for my man Big Lou.
No, Mo, it wasn't by accident. He established.
They started the game feeding post-ups to Ivica Zubac, because I've got a video coming tomorrow on my YouTube channel that I've just filmed, breaking down some of the tactical things that Ty Lue did, and I talked about this in the video. Dallas has been so good since they got Daniel Gafford. So let's just post him up and get him into foul trouble early. He picked up 2 early fouls, throws off their substitution patterns, so on and so forth. And Ivica Zubac, he can score on that block. I know he doesn't do it often because usually he's just playing pick and roll with James Harden. But he's a big man. He's got a soft touch around the basket.
Mm-hmm.
If the coach calls on him, he's ready.
Did a really nice job. Now, he didn't have massive numbers, but he was very impactful in the game. Russell Westbrook was simply incredible. I mean, in his 23 or 25 minutes, whatever he played here this evening, he was the most impactful player. And you could see his leadership. You could see his energy, what he brings. He changes the tempo of the game. Defensively, he gets after it. So he, in my opinion, was a difference maker here for them. And now I can see why. I think we talked about this a little bit, why they had this slump late when Russell was out.
Mm-hmm.
He's, without question, he's the leader of the team. Okay. He holds everyone accountable. If James Harden doesn't have it going, bring in Russ. If Paul George doesn't have it going, you bring in Russ. Russell has become, I call him, he is Coach Lue's crutch. He's his blanket, if you will, because he knows that he has a player that he can put in and insert in at any given time to hold everyone accountable. So Russell Westbrook was great. Now, on the other side of the ball,
Luka's box score looks really nice.
Oh, yeah, but Luka,
and this is why you can't go on box scores.
Yeah, Luka did not play well today. Now, he had 30 something points, 12,
33,
13,
12, and
yeah, 12,
13.
13.
13 rebounds,
Yeah,
6
he,
assists.
he did not play well. He did not play well today. Okay. Now, he didn't play well. I think they only had 29 points at the half or something like that. They just didn't shoot the ball well. They got their shots. They just didn't shoot the ball well. But they established in the second half that they can do something. Okay. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I'm going to. It's going to be a very competitive game. I would not be surprised if they won game 2. They got to their stuff. They just couldn't make a shot here today. Okay, it wasn't like they were defended well or anything. Give the Clippers credit, but they're not going to miss those shots like that. I don't think probably again in the series, or at least Luka won't. And if they continue to do this, I think they'll have a shot. But the Clippers, they deserve the win. They played great. They shot great. They were rebounding. They were alert. The building was really, really nice in there. Very loud. Had a good crowd. So, it was a nice win for the Clippers.
One thing that I noticed that I thought about you when I saw it is the Clippers were aggressively forcing the switches to get Luka Doncic guarding James Harden or Paul George.
You saw that.
Whoever Luka was guarding, I've got a whole video about it coming on YouTube tomorrow. Don't worry, BJ, I'll send you the link. But I want to see what Jason Kidd, what can he do to prevent that happening other than pre-switching, which is, what some teams do where they switch before the guy comes up to set the screen. What could Jason Kidd do to stop this from happening? Because there was numerous possessions where, all right, cool, whoever's got Luka guarding them, come and set a screen for Harden or Paul George if they got the ball.
Well, you got it. Here's what you're going to do. You got to accept the challenge. I mean, there's you can't hide. Like that's the one thing about the playoffs that I love more than anything. Any weakness that you have with your team or your game will show up in the playoffs. The game plan was very simple. Whoever Luka is guarding, involve him in the screen and put him in isolation and work. The only play call that I saw was for Zubac in the post. Everything else was very simple. Find Luka and go at him and keep him occupied. They did a really nice job defensively. They gave him different looks, different players. They doubled. They put Russ on him. They put the kid man, played very well.
And going at him defensively takes his energy away, and that's why you'll see him missing some jump shots that he would usually make because his legs are tired.
Yeah, so listen, you got to take on the challenge. Just listen, Luka takes on the challenge. He's got to win that. He's got to win that battle. That's a battle he has to win. There's nothing else you can do. It's not like there's a mismatch. What they're going to do? Just walk him down and post him up. He has to take on the matchup, move his feet, and accept the challenge against James Harden. Accept the challenge against Paul George. Accept the challenge, Russell Westbrook. Accept that challenge. You win that challenge with his offensive, output. What he's going to do? I mean, he's going to get you 30. He got you 30 and didn't even play well. I mean, this could have easily been a 50-point game for him. So, and if he accepts that challenge, I think they have a great shot to extend this series, and you never know, you may win it.
Well, after watching 2 consecutive blowouts, we were treated to a third consecutive blowout as the Milwaukee Bucks at one point had a 30-point lead as they won 109-94 against Pascal Siakam. I would say against the Indiana Pacers, but the rest of the team decided to not show up and play today. An absolutely horrendous showing. Tyrese Haliburton only attempted 7 shots. This is a man we were talking about all season long about being an all-star. He can be all NBA and this and that. Siakam finished with 36 and 13 boards, but the story of the game was the Milwaukee Bucks in the first half. After Indiana started 0 from 10 from 3, they were down 20 halfway through the second, and at halftime they were down 69-42. And at halftime, Damian Lillard had 35 points. He was absolutely in his bag. I say they had 35 points, and it's important because he didn't actually score a single point in the second half. At one point, the Pacers had cut the lead from 30 down to 12, but that wasn't enough as Milwaukee held on for the win. BJ, do you chalk this up to nerves from the Indiana Pacers, it being the first playoff game for pretty much everyone except for Siakam? I mean, Miles Turner's been around, but the rest of the guys, Nembhard, Haliburton, Neesmith, do you chalk this up to just nerves and inexperience?
It's very disappointing because I really thought, just like the Chicago Bulls the other night versus the Miami Heat,
Yeah, no Giannis tonight. It's your chance.
there's no Giannis. You have every opportunity. Game one, your guys are healthy, you're younger, you play at a faster pace, da 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 da. I said at the beginning of the series that I thought the pace of the game favored the Indiana Pacers. I really thought Halliburton would impose his will to take advantage of the younger legs, pace and space. We know teams that play fast. Milwaukee they have trouble with. Their best player is down and out. We don't know for how long. And suddenly Damian Lillard comes out and says, "Hey, BJ, I'm still here. I'm going to control the tempo of the game. I'm going to direct the traffic, and I'm going to direct the flow." And he was simply terrific. Okay. Give those vets credit. Maybe they've just been coasting during the regular season. And they're going to turn it up in the playoffs. I don't know. But I was really disappointed in the effort and the energy, especially with the younger team. I can accept losing, but this team is too young not to play with energy. Right? They should have
only 12 fast break points.
Yeah, I mean, okay, you miss shots. I can accept that. But they're young. They should be like making mistakes because they're just over aggressive or they're too enthusiastic about, doing things too fast. Let's slow down. They looked lethargic. They didn't look like they, just it wasn't there. It wasn't, it looked like they were coming off a back-to-back or something. Yeah, it was. And, Halliburton wasn't aggressive. Now, I don't know if he's hurt. There's been rumblings, that he's hurt. He's been playing through it. But something didn't look right with this team. And I was a little disappointed, especially because Giannis wasn't there. Now, if Giannis was there, hey, that's Giannis. Hey, he's capable of dominating. But there was no Giannis. And they just dominated the game. So I'm a little concerned with that, but hopefully they'll bounce back in game two.
It was interesting to me to see Rick Carlisle. He went 11 players deep in his rotation, and he was running at one point in the first half. He was running lineups which didn't have Siakam or Halliburton in them, and it was just purely bench guys, which isn't something you see a lot in the playoffs, where coaches usually have at least one of their stars on the floor and very rarely go to an all-bench lineup unless it's the end of the game and it's a blowout. So I think he was just trying to searching for some sort of energy from somewhere, trying to find something.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully that's the wake-up call they need. So 3 games today were absolutely terrible for the fan experience as they were one-sided completely. During the halftime of the Dallas and the Clippers game, me and the boys hopped on a bit of NBA 2K24 because I was just like, I'll just put the game on my laptop now because, it's just... But anyway, the final game of the night was a thriller all the way up until the end. The New Orleans Pelicans almost took game 1 from the 1 seed, but OKC pulled out the win 94-92. BJ, I said on the podcast the other day, CJ McCollum is not a big game player, and you saw that in the final possession where he choked away. Again, they got lucky though, the OKC Thunder. They went through a 5-minute stretch late in the fourth quarter where they couldn't score a single point, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander put the team on his back. The last few buckets that they needed, he managed to get himself going. Now this game, I was watching this, the very start of it, and I was like, Willie Green must have watched the Clippers game earlier because the first few possessions, they went straight down to the big European man on the box and they said, Jonas Valanciunas, here you go. Use your strength advantage over Chet Holmgren. And then something happened. So the first time he gets the ball, posts up, gets a bucket. The second time, posts him up, ref calls an offensive foul for using his elbows. And I'm watching it. I'm like, God damn, this is the playoffs. Let them play with physicality. If Chet's not strong enough, he's just going to have to figure it out. But that kind of took New Orleans away from maybe that similar strategy we saw that worked for the Clippers earlier today. Jonas Valanciunas finished with 20 rebounds, absolutely crushing the boards, 52 boards for the Pelicans. But what did you see?
Very nice win for this young Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, they should feel very fortunate, first of all, to have won this game. I mean, Now, and the reason I'm saying they should feel fortunate is because it's not like New Orleans played lights out. And they
It was
just
a
kind of hung
scrappy game
around.
on both teams.
Yeah, they just kind of hung around. They're down 8-9, then they make a run. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, they took the lead late.
Oh,
And
18 offensive
now,
rebounds will help.
yeah, and now they had a chance. Now, it's glaring to me when you watch Oklahoma City. They need help on the front line. Chet's just not big enough to be able to contain those bigger players. I mean, they just outweigh him, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the kid, he puts his body in there, but he just doesn't have the weight.
Mm-hmm.
And I can only imagine what this would look like if Zion was there. I mean, they would have a significant advantage in the front line, just on the size and strength.
Yeah. Well, this is what
Now,
we said the other day. I was picking the Pelicans to win if Zion was healthy.
yes, and you know, I would love to see the Pelicans just give the big fella an opportunity, Valanciunas, to work. If they're going to win, because he plays with force. I mean, I don't know. He had like 20 something rebounds tonight.
20 boards, but he only
Yeah,
got
yeah,
9 shots. And a lot of his shots,
yeah,
they're like putbacks or,
yeah.
scrappy
That's
bits.
what I'm
But
saying.
give him the
I
ball
think
on the block. Give him like 3, 4, 5
yeah,
possessions in a row.
let the big fella work. And you know what? I mean, this was a very nice win. If you said, hey, we're
I wouldn't
down
say
to,
it's a very
you know,
nice win. I mean, they went through a 5-minute stretch late in the fourth where they couldn't even score a bucket. I would say
well,
it's a lucky win in terms of it's a grind it out win more than a very nice win. A very nice win is when you blow out the other team.
yeah, yeah. And the reason I'll say it's a very nice one because if you're a young team, you always have to watch out for overconfidence when you win a blowout in game one. Blowouts in
Okay.
game ones are really they're trap games in a lot of ways because you'll be like, oh man, we won by 20 points. This is going to be easy. Well, let me tell you something. Well, now this is where all the coaches earn their money. Now you're going to see the adjustments. Now the guys are going to watch the tape. They're going to take away things. And then if they still game two, now the series has begun and they're going back home. So I like the fact that this was a very nice win. Why? Because the coaches, the home team, in this case, we're talking about, they have the players' attention. Hey guys, we didn't play well. We should feel very fortunate to have won this game. Let's get back to practice and get back in the gym and work out the kinks. Because we know that this team is capable of beating us because they know they didn't play well either. So I think this is a very nice win, especially for a young team. Let's not forget, Mo, they talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder, they have the pressure for them to win these first 2 games at home. We talked about this. This is a very inexperienced team. For many of these guys, this is their first playoff experience. And for them to win a game like this, Mo, I mean, it's very encouraging because when you don't play well and you win, Mo, those are the games that, get you over the top. So I'm encouraged by what they did. They had every opportunity to lose it. I mean, they probably should have lost this game, but they didn't. So they should be very fortunate to move on and take a 1-0 series lead.
Well, do you know who's not very young and very inexperienced?
Who's this?
Your friend, Mr. Brandon Ingram, who finished with 12 points, 5 of
Yes.
17 shooting, 0 of 2 from 3.
Okay.
I just thought that following some of our recent conversations, that was pretty interesting.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with him doing that. But I get what you're saying.
But
listen,
no. Let me actually speak properly though. Instead, jokes aside,
yes.
Lou Dort had that man in a straitjacket. Lou Dort did a fantastic job defensively, harassing him and hounding him. But here's the difference, okay? And this is why I'm not criticizing Brandon Ingram in this. The OKC Thunder couldn't score for 5 minutes in the fourth quarter. 5 whole minutes, they couldn't score a single bucket because Herb Jones, one of the best defenders in the NBA, was absolutely harassing Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So what does OKC do? What does Mark Dagnall tell his team to do? Okay, whoever CJ's guarding, set a screen for Shai, and we can force the switch, and Shai can score a bucket on CJ McCollum. That ended up being an one. Why didn't I see the Pelicans do that same thing to get Lou Dort off Brandon Ingram instead of him just trying to attack him head on?
Well, we'll see. I'll see what they're going to do in game two. I'm very encouraged about what I saw. This game could have went either way, but I get it. I get it. Like run some things when you're watching both teams. Like there were a couple of times coming out of timeouts. They were like, you're in the playoffs, and there were turnovers after a timeout. Okay, so there were a lot of things, Mo, to clean up in this game. There were a lot.
I don't remember, BJ. I don't remember the last time I watched an NBA game and neither team cracked 100 points. Like, when was the last time you really remember watching that? Like this season, teams are damn near 150.
It's funny. In the 50 and over crowd in our little group text, we were loving it. We were loving it. We were loving this brand of basketball. I mean, there was a skirmish. There was a skirmish today. I got a really funny story. There was a skirmish. And I'm not gonna say because then you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about. There was a skirmish in the game today, right?
Yeah.
And like now we were friends then, but for the crowd, we had to say, we didn't like them, they didn't like us, whatever. And like three of those guys all called me and they go, man, this is great. Did you see the fight? Did anyone swing? It was like three of the guys. They were like loving it. And it was fun. It was fun. So I think the games now look different to me than they look during the regular season. I don't know about you, Mo.
The officiating lets so much more go. We are watching a different sport to what was played back in January.
Yeah. And the offense, you know how the offense is, I always say the offense has an advantage. Well, they look like they've made an effort. It looked like it. I don't know.
Because players are actually trying to defend.
Yes.
Which is nice.
Yeah, it really is. So the game looks a little different. It was a very physical game. That the game I attended here, the Clippers game, it was a very physical game. By the way, I just want to say this. The guard play was just superb. Even though Luka didn't play well, I mean, I wish I could not play well and have 30 and 13, right? Or something like that.
You just step out at the end.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say names.
Luka, Kyrie Irving had a couple of moves today that was just simply wow.
It's different when you see it in real life.
No,
shall I tell you something, BJ? In the Discord, they were asking, can BJ check into the game? Because we need someone who can hit threes. Get Mavs uniform on.
I can't. But I'm going to tell you, Kyrie had a couple moves today that was just like, wow. Okay. The television doesn't do it justice. James Harden looked like the Houston Rockets James Harden.
Well, he did this in the playoffs last year, if you remember. Yeah, when the best player on his team is injured, when Embiid was out last year in game one. Remember against the Celtics game one?
Yeah, I remember. They won that game, didn't they? Yeah. Yep. So James Harden was good. Russell was terrific coming off the bench. And I was sitting there at the game, I thought to myself, these are like four
all-time players. You're watching all-time talents right there, right? That's Hall of Fame. Think about how many players on that court are going to be in the Hall of Fame when they retire. Luka, Kyrie, Kawhi wasn't on the court, but he was on the bench. Yes. Paul George, I don't know if Paul George makes it. Maybe not. James Harden for sure. Russell Westbrook for sure.
For sure.
Like you're watching Hall of Famers go at it.
Yeah, and I thought, it was a pleasure to watch because there were so many good plays made on both sides of the ball, and I was very, very happy with the game. I mean, it was some really, really high level stuff going on. So it was good. So we'll see what happens in game two. Now I'm looking forward to it.
BJ, prediction time. Tonight's games. Orlando, Cleveland, game 2 in Cleveland. Who have you got?
I'm going to say Cleveland. I don't know why I'm going to say Cleveland, but I'm going to say Cleveland.
Great insight.
I'm going to, I don't, and the reason I'm saying this is because Orlando, this is their
I'm
first
picking
time.
Orlando for tonight. I'm picking Orlando for tonight because I just think that they're going to be so mad at themselves because they feel that they could have won that first game.
Yeah.
And I just think the intensity, especially on the defensive end of the ball, is just going to get turned up. And I think if they hit, if we compare it to a boxing, if they come out and hit haymaker in the first quarter, it could go a little different. But what do I know?
It could be. I mean, listen, this Orlando team, they've been a very resilient group. But it's just, they have no experience over there. I mean, has anyone played in the playoffs? Well, I guess Gary Harris, right?
Gary Harris,
Harris has played in the playoffs. But those guys are like, they're just like, who knows? Who knows what those young guys are going to do? I like them. I'm rooting for them.
I like the unknown
But
factor. I
yeah,
like the factor of the unknown.
but
But
I think Cleveland. I'm going to say this. I think Cleveland has to prove that last year was a fluke
mm.
when they lost to the New York Knicks.
But actually,
So
that
I'm going to go with
the
Cleveland.
game that they played yesterday was 97-83. That didn't crack 100 either. That was fantastic. Completely slipped my mind just then when I said when was the last time teams didn't crack 100. But Philly, New York, game 2 in the Garden. First of all, Joel Embiid's got to make it up that long ass ramp that they have in MSG and see if he can make it up to the court. Who have you got winning that one?
Um, I'm going to say New York. I'm going to say New York, and I'm going to say New York for this. They look like the better conditioned team.
Mm-hmm. But it's only game 2 of round 1.
But and the reason I say that is because the amount of energy that the Knicks had to display to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were Mitchell Robinson. I want to say this about Mitchell Robinson. I don't know if you and Scott talked about it
We
yesterday.
did indeed. It went a little bit viral. Shout out to everyone in the New York Knicks fan base sharing yesterday's episode. You guys did amazing stuff.
Listen, Joel Embiid was yesterday and is, for the most part, Joel Embiid. I mean, he's just a dominant player. But give Mitchell Robinson credit.
Defended him as well as anyone's defended him this season.
Give him credit. He battled. And that's all you can ask. The big fella battled. Without Mitchell Robinson, they have no chance to win that game. They have no chance. I mean, Mitchell Robinson put up a fight. Joel still had 30-something. Okay. So give them credit. But I'm gonna say the Knicks win game 2.
Yeah, I think Jalen Brunson should have a better game than he had in game 1. You should be able to adjust to that. And then the final game of the night, Lakers Nuggets, game number 2. Darvin Ham, he says he knows the adjustments they need to make and he's going to pull them out of sleep. I love the notion that a team that's beaten you 10 times in a row, you have to wait for the 10th loss in order to put out the adjustments, Darvin, and you wouldn't have noticed these things before.
But we all know what to do. However, doing it is something entirely different. You know, Jokic is Jokic. I mean, the big fella, like he was moving a little faster. I don't know if the HD or the air is a little thin up there in Mile High. Big fella was moving and grooving last game. So I don't see any adjustments that can be made to slow him down. I don't know what they can do other than they can make shots. They're going to need D'Lo and company and all those. They're going to need their role players to play their roles great, and they're going to need their great players to be great. And I don't even know if that's enough to beat Jokic. He's just so dominant. He's such a dominant player. I don't know if they have enough to beat him. But we'll see. That's why we play the game. But it's going to be very tough for the Lakers. But you got a chance. I thought AD played well. I thought he did some nice things out there in game 1.
He played a lot of minutes though. It's insane that he played. Let me see how many minutes he played because I don't think I've seen him play that many minutes in a long time, right? So Anthony Davis in game 1, he played 45 minutes. Meanwhile, Mike Malone is pulling what remains of DeAndre Jordan off his bench and giving him playoff minutes to match up with AD. That was wild to me. That was wild.
Yeah, I mean, I thought AD played as well as I think he can possibly play. I mean, he had 32, 14, 4 blocks, 5 steals. What? I mean, 5 assists. What more can you say? What more can you ask from the center position?
AD is looking like that clip was going viral today of AD, standing with his hands on his knees, gasping for air while Jokic sprints down the court and gets a bucket. Like, I thought Jokic was the one who's out of shape.
No. Trust me on this.
I know.
He's not in shape, especially playing up there. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've been up there, Mo. It is.
No, I've not been to the Mile High City.
Okay, well, let me tell you something. you could be in the greatest condition ever. You could be the greatest conditioned athlete ever, ever. The first time I played I can remember the very first time I played in Colorado up there. It felt like I was drinking razor blades in my chest. It hurt that bad.
I'm not anywhere close to the best conditioned athlete, so I will not be playing basketball in Colorado. I can assure you of that.
If you get a chance to go out there, you will appreciate what AD did.
Well, they had All-Star Weekend in Salt Lake City, which is also high altitude, not quite as high as Denver. Right. And a few of my friends who went to All-Star Weekend that year, they just had nosebleeds when they came out of the airport because of the air pressure.
You never know how your body will adjust, but it is an adjustment. So the fact that AD put up those numbers in that altitude,
let's see if you can do it again.
That's what I'm saying. Bravo.
So you got the Denver Nuggets winning this game too.
I got the Denver Nuggets. I just, unless Jokic just has an unusually off night. I mean, he doesn't have to score. He can still dominate the game. He's just too dominant of a player.
Do you see, after watching the first game of all of these series, where the higher seeded team has taken the win, do you see any of the higher seeds, the teams that are ranked 1 to 4 in each conference, do you see either of them losing in the first round now?
I don't, but I definitely think, Orlando. I think Orlando has a chance, and the reason is because, Cleveland, that last year kind of like, you never know. You remember how Utah was? They would lose, and you go,
yep,
here they go again. You know what I mean? If Orlando could somehow pull this off, you can't tell me that they're trying to just shake that off and go up there and get a win in game. People are going to be like, oh, here they go again.
Well,
you know what I mean?
We will be back tomorrow breaking down all 3 of tonight's matchups. So make sure you subscribe to the show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts from. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and the Hoop Genius podcast is right here with you. Appreciate it, BJ. Good to see you back. Hope you enjoyed your time at the game today. And hopefully you get to see a few more during these playoffs.
It was one thing that was missing. My partner in crime.
Man.
Mo wasn't there,
Man.
Well, other than that, Mo, I had to eat like bad food by myself. I had to walk around the arena by myself.
Oh man.
But you know what? Once you get
here. I'm there in
spirit,
there. Brother.
You're there. LA was like, they was like, where's Mo? Well, no, seriously. I had a coach. Real quick before we go. I had a coach tell me, "Hey man, I enjoyed the show." So I didn't, I was like, seriously. He goes, "Man, the Hoop Genius." He goes, "We love it."
Hey, an NBA coach.
No. This was a coach on the Clippers staff.
Okay.
I'm not kidding.
I am now rooting for the LA Clippers.
No, seriously. Oh, I'm serious. Seriously. And because I wasn't, hey, how you doing, coach? Da da da. He was like, "Hey man, we enjoy it." He goes, "We enjoy it." I go, "Enjoy what?" He was like, "The Hoop Genius podcast. We listen. We're like, we tuned in." I was like, "Okay, all right." I was like, "Okay, all right, coach. I appreciate it." Because I thought he was just playing with. I didn't even know.
That's love. Shout out to the LA Clippers.
Seriously. So
shout out to the Clippers.
They're tuned in.
I wanted the Mavericks to win. I've changed my mind. Until one of the Mavericks tells me they're listening. My boy Grant Williams ain't even there no more. So unless one of you, the rest of you,
it completely. It took me because I had no idea. I was like, listen to what? He's like, yeah, the Hoop Genius podcast. I was like, come on. He's like, yeah.
Well, if you bump into him again, feel free to tell him we can do a live podcast, at the game. I was like, all I need is a plane ticket and a hotel. I mean, you ain't even gonna pay me. You just pay for the ticket. And I'll be there. Save me, man. It's gray skies. I'm cold here.
Yeah, it was great.
That's love, though, man. That's real love. That's real love. It's a testament to you showing up every day. Shout out to Clipper Nation, Clip Gang, or Don't Bang. Is that what they say?
I don't know. It's always something. So,
but it's always something. But we'll be back tomorrow with more from the Hoop Genius podcast. Appreciate you all, and most importantly, until next time. Get buckets.